If you're so damn clever, he scoffed, slapping the contract down on the counter with a sharp thud of his hand, then decipher this. His words cut through the cozy buzz of the Old Town Cafe like a knife. Forks halted in midair, and even the old jukebox in the corner seemed to hush its gentle Motown melody. But Nia Thompson didn't waver. She glanced at the hefty stack of legal papers before her, merger documents that had already stumped 3 of Atlanta's priciest lawyers, and blinked once. At 19, black, dressed in a worn gray apron that carried faint traces of hash browns and coffee, she stood, for a moment, taller than the man in the sharp navy suit glaring at her. Malik Carver wasn't accustomed to being challenged. At 48, he'd grown Carver Tech from a small coding outfit in Boston into a billion-dollar tech giant, now based in downtown Atlanta. His boardroom aura was legendary. Piercing blue eyes, chiseled jaw, always 3 steps ahead. But tonight, he wasn't in a sleek skyscraper. He was in a diner with chipped Formica tables and flickering neon, because his billion-dollar merger, meant to cement his status among tech titans, was unraveling, and he needed a place to think. The waitress had simply delivered his coffee, then noticed the crease in his brow, the red ink scrawled along the margins of a clause titled Conditional Termination on Market Disruption. "Looks like you're grappling with a beast," she'd said, offering a soft smile as she set down a glass of water. Malik hadn't looked up. "It's a contract. You wouldn't get it." "I might," she replied, and that's when he'd lashed out. Nia stood motionless now, one hand on her hip, the other reaching for a nearby notepad. "Is this the full contract?" she asked, her voice steady, unshaken. Malik raised an eyebrow. "Does it matter?" "It does," she said. "Context shifts everything." He didn't respond, just gave a dismissive shrug, as if allowing a child to tinker with something perilous, and watched. Nia's fingers moved with quiet precision as she leafed through the pages, her dark, focused eyes scanning the text at a startling speed. The cafe hummed with soft chatter and the clink of silverware, but she seemed to step into a silent realm where only logic reigned. "You've got a clause here," she said, pointing, "that lets the other company pull out if your stock drops more than 7% after the merger's announced." Malik blinked. "That's not wrong." Nia nodded, still reading. "It's vague on what qualifies as market disruption. That gives them too much leeway. Also, the escrow amount they're demanding, $400 million locked down with no release triggers? That's not a partnership. That's control." Malik leaned forward. "How do you know this?" Nia didn't look up. "I used to study this stuff in class. Emory pre-law, before my mom got sick, before I had to start flipping pancakes to cover rent." Something in Malik shifted, subtle but real. His mouth opened, then closed. He studied her now, not just the edge in her voice but the calm in her hands. She wasn't pretending. "I'm surprised you stayed in town," he said, almost wryly. "I'm surprised you walked into this diner thinking you wouldn't meet someone sharper than you." The retort hit like a precise jab, sharp, unexpected. The table between them turned into a battleground. Malik leaned back. For the first time in months, he wasn't thinking about stock prices or shareholder votes. He was thinking about the girl, no, the young woman, who'd just exposed 2 critical flaws in a contract crafted by corporate giants. "What's your name?" he asked. "Nia. Nia Thompson." He nodded slowly. "You ever think about doing more with that sharp mind?" "I did," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "But sometimes life doesn't care about your plans." Silence lingered a beat too long. Then she slid the contract back to him. "You should revise Clause 7C and add a trigger on the escrow fund, phase-based release tied to deliverables. Otherwise, they'll choke you when you're weakest." Malik studied her, jaw tight. "You're serious," he murmured. Nia gave a half-smile. "I was serious before you insulted me. Now I'm just being kind." He didn't respond immediately. His eyes flicked to the contract, then to her notepad, her notes clear, concise, surgical. "Can I buy you coffee?" he asked, a touch awkward. Nia glanced at his untouched mug. "You already did." With that, she turned, walking back to the kitchen, steps steady, head high. Malik stared after her, then back at the contract. For the first time in weeks, the words on the page weren't a haze. They were starting to make sense, and not because of him. He didn't know it yet, but the most pivotal meeting of his life hadn't happened in a boardroom. It had just unfolded in a booth under flickering neon, over black coffee and a dose of humility. Before we dive back into the story, tell me, where are you watching this video from? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow, the most inspiring stories are waiting just for you. The neon hum of Old Town Cafe had softened by the time Malik Carver folded the contract and stood. His coffee had gone cold. The girl, no, the woman, had disappeared into the back without looking back. He lingered by the door, staring at the swinging kitchen flap, then left without a word. That night, sleep evaded him. In his luxury penthouse downtown, he lay staring at the ceiling, city lights casting fractured shadows across the walls. Something about Nia Thompson gnawed at him. Not in a way that bruised his ego, though it had taken a hit, but in a way that stirred the hardened parts of him, the parts he thought had long turned to stone. He kept replaying her words, her precision, her poise, how she didn't flinch when he snapped, didn't shrink when he challenged her. She wasn't acting smart. She was smart. By morning, Malik had his legal team re-examine Clause 7C and the escrow triggers. They confirmed it. Nia was right on both counts. What infuriated him more was how easily she'd spotted what his top attorneys had missed. That afternoon, in a boardroom of glass and chrome, surrounded by suits worth thousands, his mind drifted back to chipped counters, cheap coffee, and a 19-year-old waitress who dissected a billion-dollar contract like it was a grocery list. By Wednesday, he was back outside the cafe. It was lunch rush, plates clinking, conversations murmuring through the slightly open door. He hesitated, unaccustomed to uncertainty, before stepping inside. A few heads turned, not recognizing him, but noting his out-of-place suit. Nia spotted him instantly, carrying a tray of 3 water glasses, weaving between tables like she was born to it. Her hair was in a low puff, her apron looser, her sneakers scuffed. She gave him a look, not hostile, not curious, just aware. "Back for the eggs?" she asked, nearing the counter. "Back for you," he said bluntly. A pause. She set the tray down, leaned forward slightly, and said, without humor, "I'm working." "I won't take long," Malik said. "I just wanted to say thank you. You saved me from a disaster, millions at least." Nia blinked slowly. "You sure you want to be seen thanking a waitress?" "That's the thing," he said, sliding onto a stool. "I'm not sure you're just a waitress." She tilted her head, arms crossed. "What else do you think I am? Someone who sees through systems. Someone who could outthink every junior associate in my firm." Nia stared, unblinking. "So what? You offering me a job?" "Not exactly. I'm offering a conversation. Off the clock. Just a chat. No suits, no condescension. Coffee, my treat this time." She studied him for a long moment, then nodded slightly. "Come back at 10 o'clock. That's when my shift ends. If you're serious, you'll wait." "I'm serious." "Then I guess we'll see," she said and walked away. At 10 p.m., the cafe had emptied. The old veterans by the jukebox were gone, the dishwasher humming in the back. Nia emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel, apron off, hair down. She sat across from Malik in the same booth from nights ago. "You're persistent," she said. "I'm curious. How does someone who thinks like you end up here? Not in a courtroom or a DC office, but at this counter." Nia took a deep breath. "Life doesn't follow a script, Mr. Carver. I had a plan, Emory pre-law, full ride, mock trial champ. Then my mom's kidneys failed. Dialysis 3 times a week. Medicaid barely covered it. My little brother started getting into fights at school. Bills piled up. School had to wait. Her voice held no pity, just facts delivered cleanly. I kept studying on my own, law journals, legal blogs, anything I could find. Even started coding, working on a legal literacy app for teens. Something simple, interactive, contract translation tools, stuff like that. But who's going to take a waitress with a half-finished degree seriously? I would, Malik said without hesitation. Nia raised a brow. You, the guy who called me sweetheart and told me to stick to pouring coffee. His jaw clenched. I deserve that. Yes, she said simply. But I'm not stupid, he added. I've built a career spotting ideas before they go mainstream. I know talent when I see it, Nia. What I saw the other night. That wasn't casual smarts. That was brilliance. She looked down, fingers tracing the table's edge. I'm not asking for charity. Good. I'm not offering it. I'm offering partnership. I want to help you build your app, resources, developers, funding. You lead, I back you. Nia didn't answer for a while. She glanced out the window, where streetlights spilled gold onto the pavement. You know the hardest part of being invisible? She said at last. It's not that people don't see you. It's that they look right at you and still decide you're not worth seeing. Malik's voice softened. Then let's make them look again. Her eyes met his. Okay, she said quietly. But I don't want to be your project. I want to be your equal. You will be, he promised. Outside, the city buzzed, but inside that booth, something louder stirred possibility. For the first time in a long time, Nia felt the weight of her ideas being taken seriously, and Malik felt something unfamiliar yet welcome. Hope, not in numbers or margins, but in people. They clinked coffee mugs together. The deal was sealed, and a quiet, undeniable revolution had begun. 3 days later, Nia Thompson stepped into a place she never imagined entering. Carver Tech headquarters, 29th floor boardroom. Everything was too quiet, too polished. The floor gleamed like ice, the windows stretched impossibly high, making her feel like she was in a spaceship, not an office. She smoothed the collar of her thrifted navy blouse, clutching a worn leather binder filled with sketches of her app. A security guard had checked her ID twice. The receptionist had paused, blinked, and said, "Waitress Nia," like it was a joke. But Nia held her chin high. Malik was waiting just inside the boardroom, seated with a sleek tablet, offering a smile that seemed almost nervous, something she hadn't seen before. "Come on in. Don't worry, it's just us," he said. She nodded and stepped inside, but her back stayed straight. Just us didn't erase the sting of the front desk's glances. As she sat, Malik gestured to a chair. "I had our dev team mock up some early design options for the interface. Thought you might want to look." Nia opened her binder instead. "Before we get into that, I'd like to go over core priorities. The app has to be accessible, visually, linguistically. We're talking high schoolers, working-class adults, maybe people who don't speak English as their first language." Malik leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on. I want layered content, interactive scenarios showing what happens when you sign a lease, get pulled over, or apply for unemployment. Real things, real consequences in plain language. Law shouldn't feel like a weapon only a few can wield." Malik nodded slowly. "You thought of all this on your own?" She shrugged. "I listen. And I've been poor. That's a hell of an education." He smiled, but a knock interrupted. Vincent Hargrove, Malik's senior VP of Legal Affairs, late 40s, in a pressed gray suit, stepped in with a folder and a gaze that flicked to Nia with barely veiled skepticism. "I thought we were having a closed session," Vincent said. "We are," Malik replied. "Nia's part of this now." Vincent gave a tight smile. "Right. The waitress." Nia didn't flinch. "Still do weekends at Old Town. The tips are better than you'd think." Malik stood. "Vincent, Nia caught 2 kill clauses in that merger doc your entire team missed." Vincent's tone was polite but sharp. "Well, I'm sure she's very intuitive. She's leading the app project, Malik said plainly. I'd like your team to support her with legal vetting and IP frameworks. Vincent raised an eyebrow. You're serious? I'm not in the habit of joking with 9 figures on the line. Vincent nodded, but his face said something else. Of course. We'll be cooperative. After he left, Nia looked at the table. He's not going to help me. He's going to stall me. Malik sighed. He's old school. He's a gatekeeper, she corrected. And I'm not the kind of person he ever imagined walking through the gate. Malik rubbed his jaw. Do you want me to fire him? She met his eyes. No. I want to earn this, not inherit it. Let me deal with him. But when I ask for something, I need to know you've got my back. Malik nodded. You have it. That night, Nia worked alone in her apartment. Her little brother, Jaden, sat on the couch behind her, doing algebra homework, while their mom dozed in a recliner with a heating pad on her hip. The apartment smelled of Vicks and spaghetti. On the coffee table sat a used Chromebook, covered in duct tape and stickers, her entire development lab. She clicked through notes from the day, eyes scanning code snippets and layout sketches. Her brain ached, but she pressed on. Suddenly, Jaden spoke. You think they're going to let you finish it? She turned. Finish what? The app. The court stuff. You think those rich guys are really going to let you? She stared at her brother, unsure what to say, then finally, I'm not waiting for permission. He looked at her, trying to grasp that level of boldness, then nodded quietly and returned to his math. The next morning, Nia was back at Carver Tech with 4 mock-up wireframes, a sample module, and a proposal listing 10 community-based beta testers. Vincent refused to join the meeting. His assistant forwarded a red-lined version of her document with a note. Too ambitious. Suggests scaling back to protect liability. Nia read the edits, then printed her original version and marched to Malik's office. She dropped both copies on his desk. I'm not scaling back, she said. Malik read the notes silently, then looked up. You're right. We go with your version. Nia blinked. That easy? He shrugged. Not easy. Necessary. She smiled, a small one, the kind saved for private victories. At the door, she stopped. He's going to keep trying to block me. Malik nodded, already dialing a number. Then be ready. I'm always ready, she said. As Nia stepped into the elevator, something shifted, not just in how Malik saw her, but in how she saw herself. She wasn't playing defense anymore. She was building something, step by step, and no one, no matter how sharp their suit, was going to stop her. The doors closed with a soft ding, sealing her in a rising glass box of possibility. This time, she didn't look down. The prototype came alive on a quiet Sunday morning, just after sunrise. Nia, still in pajamas, sat cross-legged on the living room floor, Jaden snoring softly on the couch behind her. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, heart pounding as the interface she'd dreamed of for 2 years flickered into view. Clean lines, simple language, a start button shaped like a courthouse gavel. She hit begin. The screen loaded the first scenario. You've been pulled over by a police officer. What are your rights? Below it, 3 buttons. Say nothing, ask why, reach for license. Each led to short, animated outcomes, some escalating badly, others de-escalating. Her voice, recorded at midnight the night before, narrated, steady, patient, not robotic. It wasn't perfect. The fonts were clunky, the animations jerky, but it worked. She sat back and exhaled. It lives, she whispered, more to herself than anyone. At 9:07 a.m., she emailed Malik the link, no explanation, just a subject line, first breath. He called 30 minutes later. Is this real? He asked, almost breathless. You tell me, Nia said. I've never seen anything like this, he murmured. You made this on a Chromebook? Yeah, and half a bottle of instant coffee. He chuckled. I'm showing this to our UX team today. With your permission. You don't need my permission, she said. You need my voice in the room. That afternoon, she walked into Carver Tech's Innovation Lab, back straight, binder under her arm. The glass-walled, sun-drenched room was filled with developers and consultants in sneakers and hoodies who barely looked up until Malik announced, "Everyone, this is Nia Thompson. She built what you're about to see from scratch, and she's leading this project moving forward." That got their attention. Some nodded respectfully. Others exchanged unreadable glances. A woman in her mid-30s with pink hair and a Stanford hoodie smiled and said, "Hell yeah." Nia connected her laptop and launched the demo. For 15 minutes, the room was silent except for mouse clicks and the voices from her app, scenarios, choices, legal explanations in plain speech. At the end, applause broke out, not thunderous but real. A developer named Carlos leaned forward. "We can polish the animations, optimize for mobile, but the flow is intuitive. The logic paths are tight." Another asked, "Where'd you learn design?" Nia shrugged. "From mistakes, and from watching how people get hurt when they don't know their rights." Over the next 2 weeks, Nia became a fixture in the lab. She sat through UI debates, led storyboarding sessions, and held team huddles at 10 p.m., fueled by diner leftovers and vending machine coffee. She was younger than everyone, less formally educated, the only black woman in most rooms, but none of that stopped her. Malik backed her at every meeting, but he also watched as Nia forged a leadership style unlike his own. She asked questions more than she gave orders, let junior designers test ideas before senior ones, and listened. The app evolved. It wasn't just Lawbridge anymore, it was a movement. Then came the school pilot. Nia had proposed testing the app in 3 Atlanta high schools with at-risk youth. She and Jaden printed flyers, created QR codes, and handed them out at football games and bus stops. On a chilly Tuesday morning, Nia stood before 30 seniors at Langston Prep, presenting Lawbridge on a classroom projector, wearing a blazer over her diner uniform, her only professional jacket. "You ever wonder what happens if a landlord keeps your deposit?" she asked. A girl in the back raised her hand. "They keep it. You can't do nothing." "That's what I thought too," Nia said, "until I learned there's a legal deadline. If they miss it, you can file a claim. No lawyer needed, just a form." The class leaned in, not out of duty, but curiosity. Afterward, a tall, skinny student with a tear-shaped scar on his cheek stayed behind. "You really make this?" he asked. "Every word," she replied. "My mom signed some papers last year she didn't understand. Now we're getting evicted." Nia's chest tightened. "Show me what she signed. I'll walk you through it." He nodded, then whispered, "No one ever talks to us like we matter." Nia watched him leave, her throat burning. She knew that feeling, being overlooked, invisible. That night, on the fire escape of her apartment, laptop on her knees, Malik called. "You okay?" She told him about the student, the pilot, the beta users already engaging. "You've started something, Nia," he said softly. "Do you realize that?" "I don't want it to be mine alone," she said. "I want it to belong to every kid who's signed something they didn't understand." Malik was quiet, then said, "Come in tomorrow. We're talking scaling, funding, and putting your name on the masthead." She stared at the city, streetlights flickering, sirens wailing. She was bone-tired, but alive in a way she hadn't been in years. "Okay," she whispered, "but you better be ready to build something they can't ignore." Neither of them looked back. It began subtly, as quiet sabotage often does. A postponed meeting, a delayed file, passwords inexplicably expired, calendar invites sent but never received. Nia noticed the pattern in the second week after Lawbridge's school pilot went public. What once felt like momentum now crawled. On Tuesday morning, she arrived at Carver Tech's lab to find her access badge deactivated. The receptionist, all painted nails and practiced indifference, looked up. "You're not in the system this week." Nia kept her voice even. "That's not possible. I have a standing pass. Sorry, you'll need to wait for clearance. An hour passed before facilities manually opened the door. By then, the team meeting had started without her. Inside, Vincent Hargrove stood at the whiteboard, marker in hand, leading a discussion about refocusing Lawbridge's scope. The air felt colder. "Nia," he said with a thin smile, "glad you could join us. We're rethinking rollout strategy. There's concern about liability." "Whose concern?" Nia asked, setting her bag down. "A few board members, investors. They're worried the app's language might be seen as legal advice." Nia folded her arms. "It's not advice. It's education. Every scenario is based on public statutes, coded with disclaimers." Vincent nodded, still smiling like he was indulging a child. "Even so, the company has a reputation to protect. We might dial back the school outreach, limit it to private beta testing for now." "No," Nia said, voice calm but firm. "Those students are why this exists. Scaling back isn't protecting the company. It's protecting old systems." A few heads turned. Malik wasn't there. Vincent capped his marker and stepped closer. "Look, Miss Thompson, we admire your passion, but this isn't a college project. There are legal boundaries you may not fully grasp." "I understand boundaries just fine," Nia replied. "I've lived inside them my whole life." Vincent said nothing, just turned back to the board and continued. That evening, Nia went to Malik's office. He was reviewing data reports, sleeves rolled up. Sensing her tension, he looked up. "They're trying to suffocate it," she said, sitting across from him. "Who?" "Vincent and whoever's behind him." She recounted the badge incident, the meeting she was locked out of, the reframing of her pilot as preliminary exploration. Malik rubbed his temple. "Vincent's been with me since the start. He's cautious, not malicious." "He's not cautious," Nia said. "He's afraid of a black girl without a degree outshining his department, afraid of accountability." Malik didn't argue. He looked at her, then nodded. "I'll handle it." "No," Nia said. "Let me. I don't want this handed to me. I want to earn it." He hesitated, then leaned forward. "What do you need from me?" "Backup. Quiet, strong, immediate." The next morning, Nia arrived early, bringing donuts, plain glaze, apple fritters, powdered sugar, and set them on the table without a word. She smiled at Carlos, nodded to the UX team, plugged in her laptop, and began. As others trickled in, the energy shifted. Nia didn't ask for permission. She launched her presentation. "I want to show you what Lawbridge really is," she began, not from a legal risk standpoint, from a human one. She played a testimonial video, a wide-eyed Langston Prep student saying, "This app helped my mom understand her lease. We stopped an eviction." Another clip, a janitor contesting an illegal paycheck deduction, a single mom avoiding a payday loan trap. Each face different, each story the same. People once powerless, now armed with knowledge. Silence followed. Vincent entered midway, stiff, uninvited, arms crossed in the back. "This," Nia said, gesturing to the screen, "is why I'm not stepping back. You can't build change by playing safe. You build it by facing discomfort." Vincent stepped forward. "Nia, may I say something?" "No," she said simply. "Not until I'm done." He paused. She held his gaze. He stayed silent. Malik walked in, slow, deliberate, standing beside Nia without a word. "I've seen what she's building," he said, facing the room. "I've never been more certain of anything. This company was founded on risk. If we back down now, we betray that legacy." Vincent looked from Malik to Nia, then back. "Understood," he muttered. After the meeting, developers approached Nia, some nodding, some shaking her hand. One said, "I've got a cousin who needs this app. Let me know how I can help." That night, walking home under buzzing city lights, Nia thought about power. Not the kind wielded in glass towers, but the kind built slowly through action, trust, and refusal to vanish. She wasn't waiting for permission anymore. She was rewriting the terms, and this time, she wasn't alone. Nia sat at her kitchen table past midnight, laptop casting a faint blue glow against the apartment's yellowed walls. Her mother slept in the next room. Jaden, on the floor nearby, headphones in, worked on geometry homework. The soft tap of Nia's fingers filled the quiet, broken by occasional page flips or chair creaks. Her eyes were red, not from tears, but from poring over the same document for hours, dissecting every footnote in the final merger agreement between Carver Tech and Kessler Solutions. Something felt off. She'd reviewed the summary a dozen times, but a clause in the schedule titled Contingency Triggers was oddly vague. One paragraph stood out. In the event of a market-based valuation event resulting in a temporary decline exceeding 7% of pre-merger market cap, Kessler retains the right to withdraw from the agreement without penalty. That word, temporary, hit her like a spark. "Jaden," she said, gently pulling his earbuds out. "Look at this sentence." He groaned. "Nia, I'm not even passing English. You think I know what market-based valuation means?" She smiled slightly, then turned back to the screen. "It means they can walk away from the merger if Malik's stock drops 7%, even for a day. They could tank his value with a rumor, trigger this clause, and leave without owing a dime." Jaden blinked. "That's messed up." "Yeah," Nia whispered. "It is." By 6:45 a.m., she was at Carver Tech, waiting outside with a coffee she barely sipped, watching the sunrise reflect off the glass tower like a warning. As soon as security opened the lobby, she bolted to the 29th floor. Malik wasn't in yet, so she went to the legal archives with a sleepy-eyed intern's help, pulling every version of the contract to trace the clause's evolution. It had been clean in earlier drafts, but 3 weeks ago, Kessler's side slipped in temporary. Just one word. At 8 a.m., Malik walked in, phone to his ear, distracted. He paused when he saw her. "Nia, I need 5 minutes," she said. He hung up. "What's going on?" She placed the printed page before him. "This clause, Schedule F, it's a trap." He scanned it, frowned. "I've seen this. We reviewed it with Vincent's team." "No," she said. "They skimmed it or worse, missed it. Look closer. If your stock dips for even one day, Kessler can void the deal, keep their options open, no penalty, no consequences. And right now you're exposed." Malik's expression shifted. Disbelief, then concern, then simmering anger. "Why the hell would they put this in at the last minute?" "Because they're playing you," she said. "Waiting for you to announce the deal, let your market bump, then leak a story to drop it. A fake leak, temporary dip, they walk, your company bleeds." He stared at her. "Jesus. Listen carefully," Nia said. "You either renegotiate this clause now or prepare for a public takedown in 3 weeks." Malik walked to the window, gripping the bridge of his nose. "Why didn't Vincent see this?" "Because he was too busy sabotaging my access to this building," she replied flatly. Malik turned. "This is why you're here. You saw what no one else could, what no one else would." He picked up the phone. "Call a board emergency session today. I want legal, PR, and M&A in the conference room by 10 o'clock. We're rewriting this deal." That morning, Nia sat silently at the end of the long, polished table in the executive boardroom. Her seat had no nameplate, but everyone knew who she was now. Vincent entered last, face tight, avoiding her gaze. Malik opened without preamble. "We're pulling Clause F, redrafting the language." Nia Thompson identified a loophole that could have sunk this company. She brought it forward. "She's the reason we're still in control." Silence. Vincent spoke. "With all due respect, we vetted that clause thoroughly." "No, you glossed it," Malik said. "She caught what you didn't. From now on, all merger documentation passes through Nia's desk first." A few executives exchanged glances. A board member, a woman in her 60s with silver hair and sharp eyes, leaned forward. "Nia, how did you learn to spot something like that?" Nia met her gaze. I've been taught to read the fine print my whole life. People like me don't get second chances. We have to get it right the first time. The woman nodded slowly. Good answer. After the meeting, Vincent cornered her in the hallway. Enjoy the spotlight while it lasts, huh? Nia didn't flinch. I don't need the spotlight. I've got the truth. He blinked, thrown off. And unlike you, she added, I don't need a title to make a difference. She walked away without waiting for a reply. That evening, Malik found her in the lab, bent over her laptop. He placed a folder before her. What's this? She asked. Your official appointment. Director of Legal Innovation, effective immediately. Full salary, full benefits. Nia opened the folder, staring at the letterhead. I thought you said I didn't need a title. You don't, he replied. But they do. And they'll think twice before underestimating you again. She smiled, tired but steady. Thank you. But we're not done yet. No, he agreed. We're just getting started. In that quiet lab, amid code, coffee cups, and the hum of a server rack, justice began to feel not just possible, but inevitable. Nia's name hit the press before she was ready. It started with a headline buried deep on a tech gossip site. Waitress turned legal prodigy. Carver Tech's bold new bet. Then came tweets, LinkedIn posts, think pieces. By midweek, her inbox was flooded. Some praising her as the face of a new era, others accusing Carver Tech of staging a diversity stunt, a few scoffing. Is this what Silicon Valley's come to? High school dropouts running legal ops? Nia tried to ignore it, focusing on finalizing Lawbridge's codebase, testing UX flows, and overseeing community trainings. The app was days from launch, but the noise grew louder. Then came an email from Investor Relations, urgent, concerns raised by Tier 1 investors. The message was blunt. Major stakeholders were uneasy with Nia's central role, questioning her credentials and experience to lead a high-stakes launch. She stared at the screen, not shocked, just tired. That evening, in a closed-door meeting with Malik, legal counsel, and 2 board members, the issue was laid bare. We're not questioning her intelligence, said a man in a navy pinstripe suit with a Princeton lapel pin. But it's unprecedented. No degree, no traditional resume, and she's about to be the face of our most visible launch. Your real concern, Nia said, is that I didn't come from your world, and yet I'm outperforming those who did. He blinked. That's not fair. No, she replied, it's accurate. The general counsel, Lisa Nguyen, cleared her throat. From a legal standpoint, there's no issue. Nia's title is accurate, her contributions documented. She's filed IP under her name. The backlash is emotional, not structural. Malik stood. I hired Nia because she saw what none of you saw. She saved this company from $1 billion sinkhole. She's led a product that was just a half-baked concept before her. If this board forces me to choose between her and placating donors afraid of change, I'll choose her every time. Silence. Nia looked at her trembling hands, folding them in her lap. After the meeting, Malik found her in the hallway. You okay? No, she said honestly. He nodded. Good. You shouldn't be. You're carrying more than you should. They don't see me, she whispered. Not really. Oh, they see you, he said. They're just terrified of what you mean. That night, Nia sat alone at the lab's far window, staring at the city below, lights glittering, a freight train groaning in the distance. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jaden. Saw the news. Don't let them talk slick. You're the real deal. Always were. She smiled faintly, then stood, walked to the whiteboard and wrote in bold marker, launch on time. The next morning, Carver Tech's PR team presented a polished, sterile script for the launch announcement. Nia read it once, then set it down. No, she said. We just want to avoid controversy, an executive offered. Justice is always controversial, she replied. She wrote her own speech that night, not for approval, for truth. Launch day, the auditorium was packed. Reporters, developers, school officials, community organizers, investors. Malik gave a brief welcome, then stepped aside. Nia walked out alone, no music, no fanfare, just her and a microphone. "Good morning," she began, voice steady. "My name is Nia Thompson. I was raised 6 blocks from here. I've waited tables, changed bandages for my mother, helped my brother stay in school. Now I've helped build something that doesn't belong to a boardroom. It belongs to everyone who's ever signed something they didn't understand and paid the price." She paused. Lawbridge isn't just an app. It's a flashlight in a room most people don't even know they're locked in. The room held its breath. "This isn't about me. I don't need applause. I need you to listen to what happens when people get tools they were never meant to touch and use them to stand taller." She looked out at the crowd. Justice shouldn't be reserved for the fluent. It belongs to all of us. Today we begin proving that. When she stepped off stage, silence broke into a roar. Reporters shouted, phones flashed, people stood. Not out of politeness, but belief. Nia didn't smile yet. There was still work to do. 2 hours after the launch, Nia sat alone in a side conference room at Carver Tech. The cheers had faded, the cameras gone, but her heartbeat hadn't slowed. She'd spoken from her core, but now came the harder part, the attention. A knock broke her silence. Carlos, a UX developer, held a tablet, voice trembling. "You should see this." He showed her a tech news homepage with her photo at the podium. "The future of law is here, and she wears sneakers and speaks truth." The embedded video had 1.2 million views. Comments ranged from "This girl is brilliant" to "Why hasn't she been hired by the White House?" to venomous jabs, affirmative action at its finest. "Where's her degree?" Nia handed the tablet back. "I don't care about trending." Carlos smiled. "That's why you are." She thanked him, then checked her phone. Over 100 texts from journalists, classmates, her high school debate coach. "Told you the fire." She scrolled to Malik's text. "Board's asking for a meeting today. You ready?" Her fingers hovered, then typed, "Always." By 3 p.m., she was in the boardroom. They were waiting. Malik stood, nodding her to the head of the table. "This seat's yours today." Nia sat back straight, shoulders square. She wasn't pretending anymore. She was guiding the storm. Margaret Holt, an older board member with white hair and thick glasses, spoke. "Miss Thompson, the response is overwhelming. Investors, community leaders, the mayor's office, even federal interest." "I understand," Nia said. "But there's concern," Margaret continued. "The platform's reach is growing fast. There are legal implications we hadn't forecasted. Some feel it's prudent to bring in external leadership, someone with policy experience, to co-lead with you." Nia let the words hang, then replied, "I appreciate the concern, but I've led every decision this app has made, not from guesswork, but necessity. I built Lawbridge because I lived the gap it's closing. With respect, I won't be managed into silence by a co-leader with no skin in this fight." A younger board member leaned forward. "With federal contracts looming, then it's more vital than ever," Nia cut in, "that the person leading this isn't just fluent in systems, but grounded in the lives this app touches." Malik's eyes gleamed with pride. Margaret folded her hands. "Then we'll follow your lead. But be prepared. The next few weeks won't be easy." "Success rarely is," Nia said. After the meeting, Nia walked through Carver Tech's corridors, noticing smiles, not polite or awkward, but warm, like people saw her as a leader, not an exception. In the lab, a group gathered around the main monitor. Carlos looked up. "You're going to want to see this." A breaking news banner. President's office reaches out to Lawbridge for potential collaboration on National Digital Literacy Plan. Nia stared. "Is this real?" Carlos nodded. "They want a pilot version for community centers, free." The room buzzed, but Nia didn't smile. She stepped into the alley behind the building, cool wind on her face, and dialed a number she hadn't used in months. "Hello. Nia Thompson," she said. "Remember me?" A pause. "Of course I remember. I heard your speech." It was Professor Elaine Harper, her Emory pre-law mentor, who'd once called her the sharpest mind in the freshman class before Nia dropped out. "I didn't finish what I started," Nia said. "You finished something bigger," Elaine replied. "I want to come back," Nia said quietly. "Not for the degree to prove anything, but for the education I didn't finish on my terms." Elaine was silent, then said, "Your seat's still here." "It always was." Nia hung up, staring at the sky, gray clouds with a strip of gold light breaking through. That night, she found Jaden watching her speech again. "You really said all that?" he asked, eyes wide. She nodded, and meant every word. He grinned. "I told my teacher my sister made an app that might get on the president's phone." She laughed soft, disbelieving. "First time I've made national news in a hoodie and no makeup." He leaned his head on her shoulder. "Still look like a boss." Nia closed her eyes, letting the moment sink in. She wasn't here because someone gave her a seat. She'd built her own table, and now everyone wanted a chair. Nearly a year after sliding that contract across the counter to Malik Carver, daring him to believe she could translate more than legalese, Nia stood on a makeshift stage in a Birmingham, Alabama community center. The room was packed: kids, parents, teachers, elders in Sunday best on a Wednesday. A banner hung behind her: Lawbridge, free legal education for everyone. The mayor sat up front, alongside a pastor and 2 Congress members, but Nia's eyes were on the young people watching her like she was part teacher, part revolution. She took a breath. Ever been told to sign something without knowing what it meant? Murmurs of yes rippled through the crowd. A man in the back called, "More times than I can count." Nia nodded. "Lawbridge started because I watched my mom sign a medical payment plan she didn't understand. I watched neighbors get evicted, arrested, trapped, because no one told them what a clause meant or that they could ask questions. So I started asking." The crowd clapped, soft but honest. Now, thanks to partners nationwide, Lawbridge is in 27 states, in libraries, classrooms, probation offices, shelters. "But most of all," she said, glancing at students in hoodies and earbuds, "it's in your hands. That's where it belongs." Afterward, people lined up to talk, a single mom asking if Lawbridge could help fight a predatory rent-to-own agreement, a retired trucker who'd challenged a traffic fine, a teen who learned the difference between a search warrant and intimidation. Nia stayed until every question was answered, every hug given. Outside, in the thick southern air, Malik waited by the car, grinning. "You know you made 3 politicians cry in public, right?" Nia rolled her eyes. "They'll be fine." He handed her a cold, sweet tea. "You good?" She nodded. "Better than good." "Because there's something else," he said, pulling an envelope from his jacket. "What now?" she asked, taking it warily. "Open it." Inside was a handwritten letter. "Dear Miss Thompson, we are proud to inform you that your re-enrollment at Emory University has been approved with full scholarship. We've also renamed the Law and Social Change Fellowship in your honor. You're not just returning, you're building a legacy." Nia stared, unmoving. "You did this?" "No," Malik said. "You did. I just made calls to ensure the world kept up." She blinked rapidly, pressing the letter to her chest. "I want to finish it," she said quietly. "Not for the degree, for the journey." "You've taught more law than most professors," he said. "But yeah, do it." That fall, Nia attended her first class as a returning student. No cameras, no press, just her, a spiral notebook, and the same hunger she'd had reading contracts behind the diner counter. She also launched the Second Glance Foundation, a nonprofit offering legal literacy grants to underserved youth, with a simple slogan: "Read it again, this time with power." In the months that followed, she testified before Congress on digital access to legal rights, spoke at juvenile detention centers, stood beside survivors of wage theft, housing fraud, and systemic silence. Not as a savior, but as someone who'd been in their seat. Lawbridge kept growing. One night before Christmas, Nia returned to Old Town Cafe. Same chipped tiles, same flickering neon. She sat in the booth from that first night. Malik joined her, setting down 2 mugs of hot black coffee. "You ever think it'd come to this?" he asked. She looked around. "I didn't think it'd go anywhere." He nodded. "Funny thing is, neither did I." They sat in silence. "Do you regret it?" he asked. "Taking the bet on me?" Nia smiled. "You weren't the bet. The truth was." Then, from behind the counter, a new waitress approached. Young, nervous, afro in a puff, fumbling with her notepad. She recognized Nia instantly. You're her, right? The app lady." Nia grinned. "I am. My aunt used your app," the girl said. "She got her job back after being wrongfully fired. She said to tell you thank you." Nia took the girl's hand gently. "Tell her she did it herself. I just handed her the flashlight." As the girl walked away, Malik lifted his mug. "To the ones who never got a second look." Nia lifted hers. "And the ones who made them look again." They clinked glasses. No press, no headlines, just 2 people who'd built something that would outlast them both. Outside, the city lights blinked on, quiet, steady, just like her.